God is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. That's in Psalm 34. Beautiful psalm. God is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. I've experienced this many times in my life, and for some years of my life, and I still sometimes get hit with the obsessing over the would'ves, the could'ves, and the should'ves of life and memories, things that went wrong, decisions that were wrong, painful events, divorce, and these would'ves, could'ves, and should'ves can be paralyzing. And I think a lot of people are suffering under the weight of these memories and these perceptions of the past and the if onlys. If only I had taken that job, or not made this decision, or not betrayed that person, or had I not said this, or I should have said that. If only I loved more. If only I was not so selfish. If only, there's 1,000 things. I should have never gone to that place. If only, yeah, it can wipe us out, you know. Say you can't drive a car staring in the rearview mirror, you'll crash. A quick glance in the rearview mirror might be helpful in your driving, but to stare, to obsess, it, like I said, it can paralyze us, and I've been in that place before. And as a younger man, agonizing over a failed marriage, suffering through those would'ves, could'ves, and should'ves, and where do I go from here, and if only. And I feel like I'm a person who's made a lot of foolish decisions, who's been often clueless, and done self-centered things that I just wish I could go back and undo. Let my anger get the best, and caved into selfish desires, immorality, different things that brought pain, destruction to myself, others. And some of these things I'm not even really aware of until more recently. And sometimes at night, just to be hit with a memory like, oh, and that knocks the wind out of me. And I just, in my, under my breath, I just say, oh, Father in heaven, help. Oh, Lord. As I realize, like, what were you thinking? Whatever. And so these things, I'm not the only one, I'm sure, that experiences some of this, some to greater degrees than I, and some to lesser degrees. And some people have navigated the big decisions of life very wisely and well, and I admire that, and it has saved them from so much pain that many people have been crushed by pain, and some things are brought on us that we didn't, say, deserve or cause, and then many other things that bring suffering to ourselves and others are really our own fault. In fact, I was hit by a proverb that I read the other day that said, by his own foolishness a man ruins his life, and yet his heart rages against the Lord. Like, God, why did you let this happen to me? You know, well, why did you disobey God? Do what you shouldn't have been doing. But whatever the case, the bottom line is these things in our lives, for many of us, leave us brokenhearted and crushed in spirit. And I'm thankful in the human sense that I had a dad who loved me greatly, and he was a fixer of broken things. He had an artist eye and an engineering kind of mind, and he was able to fix things mechanical, electrical, and often with his artistic flair to make them look better than before I broke them, whatever it was. And what I know about my Heavenly Father, God above, is that, and I know this by experience often now in my life, that He is a fixer of broken hearts. He's near to all of us if we will call on Him, but often we don't call until our heart's broken and we're crushed in spirit. But don't hesitate to call out to God from the place of brokenness. He is nearer than you think. He's a great fixer of broken lives, broken hearts, broken relationships, broken families. And He can rescue us from the paralyzing would-haves and could-haves and should-haves. There's another psalm. I love Psalm 40. It's somewhat it's a testimony for me. It was written by King David of Israel and was his testimony at the time. And he says, I waited patiently on the Lord. He inclined His ear to me. He turned to me and heard my cry. He lifted me out of the slimy pit, out of the mud and mire. He set my feet on a rock, gave me a firm place to stand. He put a new song in my mouth, a hymn of praise to my God. Many will see and fear and put their trust in the Lord. Now, I just want to brag on this great God for a bit because He heard my cry. And I'm so thankful for whatever reason, by the grace of God, when the bottom really fell out of my life as a young man, and I made such a mess of things, and my marriage fell apart, and it seemed like everything fell apart in my life at the same time. And I was in a pit of despair, depression, confusion, some spiritual confusion. I call it spiritual warfare too. Loss of confidence. Just crushed. And had I not known the Lord in my life to some extent, I probably would have turned to alcohol or some drug or something, some kind of whatever to get some relief. That's why I don't condemn people who turn to alcohol or this or that, because life can just crush you and people look for relief. The problem is these things, these false sources of relief just make the problem worse. But I cried out to God, and God lifted me out of the pit of despair and depression. He did put a new song in my mouth, and He put my feet on a rock. And my life was so shaky at the time, but He put my feet on a rock, gave me a firm place to stand, steadied me, and restored joy to my life. And He has fixed and is still fixing so much of the brokenness of the past, beyond what I could imagine. And He helped me to let go of some of the obsessing. I think I have some OCD tendencies. But some of that obsessing about the if only and the what-ifs, could-ifs, and should-ifs. He used a single simple verse from the Proverbs. I wrote down the proverb. a single simple verse from the Proverbs, from chapter 20. It is the Lord who directs a man's steps. How then can anyone understand his own way? Sounds simple, and you might wonder, like, how does that apply? Well, to me, I believe by faith that in this mystery of the blending of the sovereignty of God, the foreknowledge of God, and the free will of mankind, and that somehow in the blend of that, he knew the steps I would take. He knew the pain it would bring. And somehow in this relationship of faith with him, he has allowed these things. I'm not saying, again, he didn't cause me to do foolish or sinful things. I chose to. But where I am today is where I am by his will, in a sense. And I trust that he's going to do something good with all this. And I've seen and experienced where some of the places in my life that were most wrecked and hurt, he brought good out of that. One example is I had the privilege of doing probably close to 2,000 talks in public schools in the Baltimore area about relationship decisions. And most of the wisdom I had in those talks came from the pain I experienced myself in my cluelessness. And but also the part of that verse that set me free is the end of it says, how then can anyone understand his own way? And it's as though God just said to me, Eric, you could obsess till the cows come home from now to eternity. You could obsess and try to figure out the past and what you did wrong and what you should have done, and on and on and on, never end. And you'll never figure it out because it's not your territory. It's God's territory to figure that out. He's that. And so, how then can a man understand his own way? I can't. So I gave up. I said, okay, I give. I still get hit, especially at night when I'm tired. It's like my defenses are down, I guess, and the devil wants to hit me with some memory out of the blue. Like, oh, I can't believe I treated that person that way. Or why didn't I hold on to that friendship? And why did I, whatever it is, and I just say, oh, Papa. Oh, Father, I give it to you. I can't. Nothing I can do. I give it to you, and I say a prayer for that person that may have been, that I forgot or I hurt. I have to leave it with God. So, I'm thankful. He's a good Papa. He's close to the brokenhearted. He saves those who are crushed in spirit. Believe it. Call out to him. He's near. Call out to God, and he will begin to put the pieces back together. Seek him, you'll find him. God bless. God bless you.